I'm Harry, this is Drum Electric, and this little guy, he can do MIDI. Who knew? Who knew? This is the SPD-1W, the 1 WAV pad. SPD-1W, I believe is its name. And as it turns out, it does have MIDI capabilities, which is pretty ridiculous. If you've got this, then you know that it's not got any MIDI inputs or outputs on the back. If you don't have this, then it doesn't have any MIDI inputs or outputs on the back or the sides or anything. What it does have is a micro USB port on the side. Now this port, turns out, can transfer MIDI over USB. To do that, when you plug it in, you just have to hold down this little all sound off button that's just hidden at the top here. So all you need is a micro USB cable. I've just got a generic one. You turn on the SPD-1W and you can see the little light at the top, the red light just there is now on. And all you do at the same time, it's quite fiddly, all sound off, hold that down, plug in the USB, give it a second just to detect it. Nice, I think we're all good. Nice. And to know that it's transferring MIDI rather than just being a USB thing, this red light goes quite dim. If it's plugged in to transfer samples and different things like that, then it will slowly like pulse and flash on and off. In this case, it's not doing that, so it works. You can change to the different sample banks and it'll flash slowly and then become solid. In this case, I'm just on bank 1 because that's all you need. So now that it's plugged in and it's sending MIDI, which is still pretty ridiculous to me, just go onto your software of choice and set it up. So in my case, I'm going to use Ableton because that's what I use, but it's pretty much the same across all things. It's just adapting it to whichever software you use. The great thing about the SPD-1W, I'm getting better, is that you don't need any drivers to use the MIDI. So in Ableton, if I go into Preferences, and then into MIDI, then we can see that in the in SPD-1W and out SPD-1W is right there. So I'm just going to tick the track option for in because I want to track the input. I'm not actually sending any MIDI to it in this project, but if you did want to, then just for the out. SPD-1W, tick that box. But for now, I'm going to keep that unticked because I don't need it. So then to test, grab a drumstick and hit it, which is our favorite thing to do in the world as drummers. So as I hit it, you're going to need to look at the top right-hand corner of Ableton, and that little orange light will flash, and in this case the 2 MIDI tracks that I've got on this just open empty patch are flashing to indicate that it's inputting MIDI, which is pretty great. So with that, there's not much you can do because I don't know if there's a way to change the MIDI note that it's sending out, or at least I haven't found a way to do so, which is a little bit annoying, but I get it. It's only 1 pad. How much am I really gonna do? So in this case, I'm just gonna drag on a drum rack to a MIDI channel. I'm gonna hit it and see that it is triggering C3 as a note, which is pretty cool. So this now means that I can automate this to pretty much trigger whatever I like. In this case, I'm just going to drag on a sample to C3. There we go. And then I can just... Great. And that's kind of it. So what we can do with that now is pretty much anything that we can do with any MIDI instrument. So in my case, that's really handy. If I only have like 1 or 2 samples on a gig per track, I can then just sample that to be like a clap sound, and then I can automate it to change to a different sound, whether that be like a snare drum or just a different sample, to a next song, and then I have control over at least 1 pad. And the other good thing is that it means that if I don't want to set up a little module with like a PD8 pad, and I only need 1 trigger, that I can literally chuck that on the kit, get a big old long USB cable, and I'm good to go. Obviously the downside is that you do have to hold down the all sound off button, and that can be a little bit fiddly. Trying to make this video, I did do it a few times and it didn't work, but it turns out if you turn it on, hold down the all sound off button, and then plug in the USB cable, that seemed to work every single time. So it's just one of those things just to be aware of if you're on a gig, but if you own this and that's all you have at the moment and you do want to get into sampling and triggering and MIDI and that sort of stuff, then you can do, and it's really cool. So with that, if you want to see my opinion on the SPD-1W, the 1 WAV pad, then the link is in the description down below. But as always, if you have any questions, lob them in the comment section, and I hope you have a great day.